Sorry, thank you.
Can we lend you some, about 7 billion to keep you busy?
Thank you, Mr.
Oh, Mr. Keshe, seriously? You know, these people here in Ontario are complaining about being bored. How can you be bored?
Listen, you lots are too good place near Lake Ori and everything else. You live in the heavens, so you get bored. Too much beauty has hurted your, what do you call it, feelings. You got nothing to do. You live in the most beautiful part of the world, so you get bored. And the government pays you too, so you don't have to work. What do you want? It's a cushy life living in Canada.
Oh, they pay, but not very much, Mr. Keshe. My pension only, not, yes, I'm glad I have a pension, but it isn't eking out an existence. So, yes.
Oh, I thought the Canadian government paid everybody well with Corona.
No, only some people, but not everybody. The seniors didn't get any increase, not at all. So it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, it sounded very good. It sounds like for everyone.
Yeah, it does.
But don't forget, it's not a Corona dividend. It's what do you call it? Bill Gates dividend.
Yeah.
He's paying part of the shares of his income back to be paid by certain countries. It's very amazing. We done an analysis very past more or less 24 hours. Amazing enough, all the prime ministers get it, and all the prime ministers, when they agree to let what you call injections to be allowed in their country, suddenly they get better. Something we start seeing a pattern in corruption, and it's very interesting. We open it up very soon. Somehow even Canadian Prime Minister and his wife had it, and then everything turned up. It seems has become a pattern. They're taking world leaders to ransom.
Mr. Keshe, I have some interesting news for you. The leader of one of the opposition parties made a startling statement. She said the coronavirus has a blessing to us, and people were outraged by it, but I know what her politics are, and I know what she's referring to, you know, with respect to the health community and the vaccines and all that. But it was funny that the outrage came because she was saying that, you know, in Alberta, the oil business is having trouble, the beef business is having trouble, and the virus is out of control, and they're talking about opening up. So she was under the gun, saying that it was a good thing. But you said the same thing, but because it's bringing us to the realization that we have to change our ways.
There is a very, very damaging report coming out, or has come out this summer in public. You can get hold of it. The opening of the cities is going to increase the corona, has increased the corona. And what we have seen is a new phase of corona, where they said when it comes to spring, summer, now with the heat which is advancing in more near the equator, corona has shown a massive phase in past 3-4 days. As the summer heat in some cases already started, we have hospitals that even are short of space and putting 2 corona patients on one bed. You can imagine. German report says since they open up, soften the position, numbers has increased. It's got to the point, we go till somebody drops something, okay, it dropped, well, let's see where we're going to get to. So, there is something hidden behind it, and there seems to be, we've taken a position as a lot of you know, in next few days, finally we managed to get this scientific paper signed by some of the leading scientists in Iran to be released about corona. But it has a lot of facets, there's a lot of things happening behind it. And originally we were supposed to release this 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, but with what happened, you saw in cases of the lady who came deliberately into the Iranian structure to destroy, and we got rid of her. Actually, she found out before we catch her, she left. Mrs. Mohammed, if you remember, we gave a lot of room to it, and then the whole situation is taking a very drastic, positive move. Papers for publication was signed this afternoon. So it takes 3-4 days to finalize the part of it, and maybe by late this week, early next week, you will see for the first time Keshe Foundation will publish a scientific paper which is signed by some 7-8 leading doctors, scientists, research centers, recognized research centers in the world. So this puts an end to all the saga with Belgium. On the other hand, what you will see, massive new technology which we have developed. All the machinery are, what do you call it, completed in Iran now. That will come out. In a way, we go very aggressive in respect to what it is. I requested, and I'm sure it's going to be granted, and I partially last week I explained or announced it, and now we're getting the backup of the Iranian leadership. Even Ayatollah Khamenei yesterday in a public talk made it very clear that Keshe Foundation line of thought and promoting peace through technology has been accepted by the leadership. You will hear it, I can, if you understand politic and diplomatic language, in a Friday prayers on Friday, Ayatollah Khamenei said even sometimes we have to sacrifice things to achieve peace, and we are in that track. Ayatollah Rouhani, the Iranian president, has made a direct move in respect to Keshe Foundation in a very positive way. Those who are close to us know in past week, and situation has changed. So this ambiguity about Keshe Foundation has come to an end, total end. We are furnished with everything an organization like us needs, and so we'll bring some sanity. The sanity comes in a way that we don't need any vaccination. We have shown scientifically, we have shown systematically through research and development in past 8 weeks, and 100,000, 200,000 plus people who have used the technology in Iran, and that the technology is correct as a system to overcome viruses. And in so many ways we will see and you will see massive move. What we were waiting for, we have received sanction by the Iranian leadership, and as you will see, it will change. And our motto is not fighting. Tehran main airport within next week, 2 weeks, I have requested to be reopened, and seems to be positive, because you will see it will be one of the first international airports which will open to public for transportation. And at the same time, what we say in Tehran is very simple. You have a corona, you're dying, flying in plane load of all of you will take you. We are emptying hospitals. We are emptying hospitals to receive people. Emptying, not in a way of emptying and putting people out. We are emptying in a way we are sending patients home. If you heard about the way the Chinese cleaned up Wuhan city, we have emptied the city, 50,000 plus, and now is over 5 weeks. We have had no death, we have no corona patients, and there is no corona in the city. Nothing at all. We haven't lost any doctors. Emergency, to my last call with the doctor, we had 1 cancer and 1 heart attack or something in that region in the emergency. As the doctor said, it seems the Keshe Foundation has cured a lot of diseases in town at the same time too, because they have washed the city with guns. The doctor paid himself to make ganses for the city. He's the head of emergency. And we have shown it can be done. And I set up a strategy, how we're going to do it. I've received the full backing of the government. We set up the strategy, our team decides on how to do it. And now we have 2 weeks, 3 weeks to actually bring it mechanically in a position to be done. The first units to mass produce gases at each hospital physically will park outside the hospital. Was finished today. It's beautiful. It carries the Iranian flag as a wave and carries the 4 emblems of the Keshe Foundation Iran, Keshe Foundation as an institute, a spaceship institute, and KFSSI logo lit like a half a meter each on each side of the truck. Iranian government has taken a step this morning to release the video which was released some years ago about the Keshe Foundation and capture of the drone as an official announcement of the Keshe Foundation in Iran. It's been translated and at the moment is played everywhere. The officials wanted it, they gave it to Keshe Foundation officials in Tehran this morning, and they said we want this to circulate, and we already authorized it to be circulated in the media. So a lot of things going to change, and I think we're not going to fight, we are showing a solution. And in so many ways, sanity has taken over, insanity. The final documents for release of the scientific paper signed by the leading research people in Iran. And one of the foreign, 2 of the foreign scientific journals already are testing to confirm the results, published within the next 2 weeks in international journals, very well known, to be released. So our situation has changed in a way. Corona has been good for us, but the situation is these people started idiotic belief that they're going to control the humanity. Then they started idiotic belief that Bill Gates understanding that we do what we like. When you look at it, it's not just Corona is involved. He has cornered the whole of Earth, world healthcare, and he's brought his own cronies, bribery, deception, and everything else with it. We're not fighting it. Fighting it takes too long. We are releasing case by case. You will hear. We will clean up all the hospitals in Tehran in the next 2 weeks. This is the plan. But we are very open how we're going to do it and how it's going to be arranged, achieved. And we go city by city in a way that does not matter what they throw at the new technology handles all viruses. And this is the beauty of it. But we have to find out in a simple way how to do it. In understanding it, it means we all need a new kit in the house. We make it ourselves, or we get it made, or like what we are doing in Iran, it'll be a corner, a stand against, you get the pain, you know what to do, and that's it. The plan has more or less backfired on them, because okay, we are going back A lot of people are doing it. We see this takes between 1 to 3 years to do the cleanup. It's not going to be over a year, over immediately. It needs to be so much that we corner this beast. And the strangest thing is, when you listen and looked at the press conference by the Blondie a few days ago, he sits in the room with all his cronies. Thank you, sir, your golden key, your God. And they've all been injected and, well, what do we call it, boosted, and still they're getting kronas in the White House. That was a shameful conference, as somebody said. Aren't they ashamed to do this to themselves? So we're going a different way. New tools need to be introduced, new ways of living needs to be introduced, but what I see, humanity will go back to normal as it was. And a lot of things will change, but what we see, life losses will still carry on. It's not going to reduce. But how the governments will take it, how they will bring it out and develop it, or nationals take over the governments and through direct teachings, it seems to be one of the choices. We, as we said, Keshe Foundation in Iran is, even as we speak, high-level meetings are taking place 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in Tehran. I'm sitting on the other side of the conference, and decisions are made. And it's beautiful to see it. It needs one by one, and it needs to be done by the people. And once you start doing this, pharmaceuticals will collapse very soon. All these plans for vaccination will collapse. People don't need to be vaccinated. We have received documentation today that allows us to do intravenous injection. And we're taking it up, which means with these licenses which can get produced, we can literally for the first time openly go for change of the, what we call corona in the blood within 30 minutes. We have data, we can do it intravenously, but it has to be done in a specific way. It's not open to public. We keep it that way. And what we have asked now, like critical cases, that's day or 2 days that the doctors know could be the end, we can come in and do it. This we received the documentation of clearing on the animal this morning. It's animal tested, so next is a human, and because we had the certification done again, okay, it's in the name of the Keshe Foundation, the test, so we paid for it. It took nearly 6 months to complete it, and it was completed, and we received certification this morning. So we can go to the next step. Animal trial is completed. We had to do this because what we saw in Japan and what happened in what do you call in the animal test there. Now we did the test with the reputable organizations, and tests are going on. People, scientists are working overtime. Even now, there are tests going on in laboratories. Scientists decided it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're staying behind. And we have opened some highly, what we call, confidential, secret researches, which is done for the Keshe Foundation, in the name of the Keshe Foundation, to certain governments. They were shocked we carry such a detailed, confidential information. We spend a lot of money. Keshe Foundation spends every cent in the right way. And I have spent nearly millions of dollars in research and development in hiding. And now when the governments ask, this is what the press of the button. I've opened 2 secret, very highly confidential research done independently for Keshe Foundation that changes the course to scientists in past week, which allows a lot of things to happen. We invested. People know I go and ask people, can we have this one? Can we have that one? Can you help? Because I spend it. I spend it heavily on research. I don't spend any penny. Whatever comes with foundation, if it means this foundation staff suffer or whatever, we carry on. Because I could see this coming up and I invested heavy. I've invested millions of Keshe Foundation in the past 3-4 years in hidden research. Because I knew it'll come handy, and now it's come. And with the press of button, signed by most reputable organizations around the world. I haven't gone to Mickey Mouse organizations. Can you do a test? When we submit a paper, it's signed by companies which will accept it. And in past week, it has brought a lot of pleasure knowing what we put away to be has saved a lot, and you're going to save a lot of lives and work for us. When yesterday, one of the leading laboratories in Corona wanted one certificate that they could go, I got a guarantee from them in writing. I released a massive research document to them. And they said, there is no need, it's completed, you already done all the work. It takes us 3 years to do this. We have invested wisely. Every penny has been invested wisely. And now we see it. We are not going to fight Corona. I'd give you one thing. If Corona handled through the Keshe Foundation technology, the way we understand it, it has different procedures for different applications, and it has to be done. We will not lose a single life. People don't understand what we did in revolution in Iran. I've just shown it to Caroline a few minutes ago. Because I sit on all the chat room, all 30-odd chat rooms of the Keshe Foundation with Corona, and I advise, when they come to me directly, I advise what to do. I just received a picture. 2 little boys, one 3, one about 6, sitting on the grass. And the father said, Mr. Keshe, 50 days ago they had no father, they told me I'm dead. And today I'm with my children, thank you very much. He had a severe body called Corona, to nearly totally white lung. And he's gone public with it. And we have invested wisely. We don't fight. Don't worry what your governments and officials say. Keshe Foundation, the Iranian Keshe Foundation, the team there, with the support of the Iranian government, we're not going to claim anything. We just come very slowly next year, 6 months, and we show it. And the decision with the Iranian leadership is, Mr. Keshe, let's clean this country first before we go out. They suffered enough for years in the hand of the outside. So in next week, 2 weeks, maybe from next couple of days, because the first unit is going to be done, tested, you will see Iranian hospitals reporting totally empty of patients. The decision of the Iranian leadership was, we put them in the mosques. And I said, no, we put them in the hospital. And I said my case. And the case is accepted. Because in the mosque we don't know who has, who doesn't. In the hospitals we know there are sick people dying and the families come and go. So we are literally cleaning the hospital from inside. And we're cleaning outside the hospital, and the people who come and go, who are in touch with these people, the doctors, the families. So we set a job, and I think what I call Universal Council members, and you who work with us in the next couple of weeks, you take the same approach with your government. That we start from the hospitals. We locate, we have a plan to export about 10,000 of these units as fast as possible. The Iranian army and military have got involved with Sepah to produce as much as possible. We inspected the factory yesterday with our team, fully automated. We can produce maybe up to 10 to 20 a day. And we cover Tehran, key positions, strategic positions, which is hospitals. We want to show hospitals can be cleaned up, and the units produce hundreds of thousands of gallons in Tehran together. Then we change the environment. These people have drastically calculated the next step, and we will introduce new bits slowly. You saw we introduced the CO2 kit. There's a reason behind this. We should introduce the environmental rotating balls, and everything else you'll see new setup of gas cups coming out as a package. And a lot of things are happening because now we don't do it on our own. We do it with the government, massive government with unlimited finances to see the new technology. And the structure set up has, they even started a propaganda in Iran regarding the Keshe Foundation this morning. The leadership has released outside video which was published about a few years ago that speaks about the Keshe Foundation and how drone is captured. Now officially Iranian governments have asked and put it in circulation this morning, and it's been transcribed to Farsi to show the technology. And well, don't worry. You see about the corona, you see about some people dying. We'll see some changes, but we have started it very strong in Iran. The biggest problem was to overcome the lies, the cheats and deception of the Belgians. And we'll handle that in due course. We don't waste on it. The head of the Keshe Foundation spoke to me about 2 weeks ago. He says, Mr. Keshe, I request you not to speak about Red Circle anymore or extend anything. We don't need to waste energy on it. Build it positive, we go that way. And I said, okay, we go that way. We paid a tribute to him and we left it. And that's what we're going to do. we go positive with everything. And I'm sorry, some of you might see some harshnesses, you might see some changes, you might see some corona still hanging around, but it takes time. But we started, and the Iranian leadership had a very clear idea. We have to wipe out all the stigma that these criminals in Europe and Belgium started. So we went through that correctly. The Iranian scientist team, he said, we got to do it to show this is all lies, but at the same time, we show what we've done inside the country. We don't care whether the smallest country in the world says. Iran has always had a problem with this, what do you call it, this country. Even they try to stick themselves to Iran to do more damage. But now we go a different way. And the documents for it was signed finally today, and it's going to be published. And next step for it is we report from Iran. This is the step we've taken. You can fight whatever you like, let Bill Gates do whatever he likes. Outside Iran, we clean up Iran. We make an example of Iran in hospitals, step by step. As we clean up Tehran, these machines has to be made, to be placed. We go to the next city, and to the next city, and to the next city. We clean up Iran. And if we can clean up Iran, we know that's no corona. We are targeting end of June, complete clean in Tehran, and within the state of what we call district of Tehran, and maybe 2 or 3 more cities. And we are now around about beginning of what we call May. By the time the machinery and systems are put in position, it'll be around about maybe before end of May. And we need 3 to 4 weeks to clean up. And we clean up hospital by hospital. We're not going to say we're done or we have found the solution. No. We have found the solution for Iran, and we clean up Iran and let the governments and countries from outside come and say how and what, and at no cost. And we are listened to, and then you can take over your government. We have kept the city without any death in the center, where they're losing 1 or 2 people a day. And it's been checked by WHO, but we don't let them in. They know the data. They're watching the city very closely, and as a friend of mine said, Bill Gates is pulling his hair. And it costs less than 1 cent to save the life of the citizens of one city with this thing. 1 cent. When we looked at the total cost compared to the city ratio, it's 1 cent. It takes 1 American cent to save 1 life in 1 city. We had no deaths. We haven't lost a single doctor, we haven't lost a single nurse. And now, the Iranian hospitals, even today, one of the major hospitals, initially we saved a life. And from there, the nurses learned, and they don't put their nurses anymore in quarantine to die or whatever. They use in the hospital. The nurses said, doctors don't allow us to do it. We save for ourselves. And all the nurses cover themselves with the technology. We supplied a heavy amount of material to them. They learned how to make it themselves. And nurses are walking around the board with no problem. And 4 of them were supposed to die. 2 doctors were supposed to die in this new hospital. They're all back on duty. And they're learning. So don't worry about Bill Gates. To us, it's a written off job. But instead of going and shouting, which we done, we're still informed that everybody knows. But we haven't started the cleanup. We clean Tehran first. We clean Iran next. And then we make an example of it. The world leaders can come in, or dollar seekers, you'd start taking the step with your nationals. We don't fight it. Let them kill themselves. You got to understand what this is going to do if it goes through the way, all the way. All the investments done to control viruses and population and scare people become useless. Absolutely useless. Bill Gates will lose everything he has, plus the criminal cases which is going against him. Apparently there is 500,000 petition in the White House for his arrest, and looking into what he's done. There are other people pushing it this way, and it just takes one time to turn and it'll go. But with it, all the ones who backed him will go too, because the investments will go. Pharmaceuticals would not exist the way we see it. Virus business, which was coming big because he made it, will go with it. But then he made a very clever move coming out of Microsoft, that Microsoft doesn't get damaged, but Microsoft have financed a lot of vaccinations while he was there. So Microsoft becomes an international owned company for criminal activities. He thought he escaped, but he hasn't escaped from it. Microsoft, while he was in office, has made criminal moves. So he thought he'll jump, but he will not jump. With it, the Rothschild group have got their fingers in the pie, they're gonna go with it. Because this was a coup d'etat against the world, and now it's backfired. And the rest has to be decided by world leaders who cannot be there because they took their ransom. A lot of their positions are unattainable. If you heard me in Iranian teaching or public teachings, I said Mr. Rouhani's position as Iranian leader is unattainable, especially as foreign secretary. And one of the first moves he made was to approach governments who connected to us, trying to ratify the position. But we have to do a case, complete a case. And as I said, I requested today the discussion in Tehran as we speak. We open Ayatollah Khomeini's airport in Tehran as a first international airport open to corona patients, which means inbound, they allow you to come. You can come with pleasure. City, country will be free of what we call corona, hopefully in the next few weeks. And then you can go back. We sterilize aircrafts to go back. And as I said, we're going to do it now. We are going to do it, start moving. We'll see where we go. Just watch, follow, keep everything ready. But when the governments come to us, it's the Iranian government in conjunction with Keshe Foundation. And you are the Keshe Foundations in your cities and countries. We come to you to take the banner up and carry on. But we have to save those who suffered more, and they have it there. It's time for them to move on. And we made the decision Tehran is going to be the first city to be cleaned up totally. We'll do the same thing that we done in the other village, or a city of 50,000. And then we go to the next one. But in Iran, we'll go hospital by hospital. We empty the hospitals, then the environment around the hospitals. Then the city of Tehran, which gets to 24 million people during the day and about 18 million at night. It's a huge city, the size of some of the countries, one city. And we clean up first and watch the space. And we make sure governments know what we are doing. This is started, nobody can stop it anymore. And code for medical practice for it will be issued in the next few days. Code for its use internally in Iran has already been signed today. So we can talk as much as you like what he's doing. We watch, we do as we have to do as an international organization. But now we have started with a small town, 50,000. Now we move to the city of Tehran. You will see it. When the vehicles park outside, day and night, the four emblems of Iran Keshe Foundation, FSSI, Space Institute, is lit on the side of the wagons. And it'll be pride and joy to see these outside every single hospital. And don't forget, I know many of these hospitals originally have not changed much. It's where I used to play when I was a child with my father. And when I tell them I know that hospital, I wanted to be there first. They said, Mr. Keshe, how do you know? I said, I've been to all of them, because as they were getting opened up and set up, by my father as the head of the Iranian Philips to be handed over. I was there as a boy. He was proud to show his son what he's done. And they're amazed how much I know about the infrastructure of the medical system in Iran. We started that way. And you will watch, we'll show hospital by hospital. And then we clean up Tehran first. 24 million is a lot of people. 1/3 of Iranian population lives in one city. Then you keep an eye and inform your nations, your government. And we have agreed with the Iranian government all negotiations will be including Keshe Foundation. And we have a very big plan, and it's backed by his Khamenei on Friday. Technology in exchange for peace. And we'll see where we go and how it goes, but we managed to come to this point primarily through a lot of solid work of the Keshe Foundation policies. Just backed it. We backed it in every shape or form. You got to realize that research, small water research for Italy costs $300,000-400,000. It has been paid, and the report is done. The report in China, they all cost money. The reports in Europe all cost money. I paid without anybody knowing because I knew when the time comes, we have it to go. And now we have it. People like John in Arizona has stood behind the foundation like a rock. He has supported us in every way, in every means to be there. And we have other people like him who stand by, because we all believe in one thing, that we're going to change. And we started to change. It took a long time. It took the corona to change it, but maybe it was due to be corona to change it. And it is part of the work to change it. But don't look that it's going to change tomorrow or next week or whatever. I wanted to take the technology out of the borders of Iran, and the Iranian leadership said, Mr. Keshe, let's do home cleanup first. If they want, they come and ask. Then we go outside. The nation has suffered enough. And when we clean up first, then if they want, we help them to clean themselves. And we set up a lot of ways to do it. But Iranian leadership with the instruction letter, we will go for peace. We will achieve peace with Iran and outside, but we help ourselves first, and we make an example of Iran. And in a way, with what is being released about Iran capturing the American drone, that we have such a space technology, we set up the next step for opening the space. We announce gradually in the next coming weeks the opening of the Keshe Foundation University, financed by the Iranian government for space and all aspects. A new university will be established in the coming weeks, fully financed by government. And then the viruses and the rest will not be there. I said to one of our friends, tonight I sleep with peace of mind that we achieved what we came here, because all the papers were signed to me. And all changes came because of one thing which was holding it back. It was put right this week, when the soul of humanity enjoys the soul of last, what do you call, confirmation, which we received mid this week. And that, as I said, the party begins. And it's very hard for a lot of people to understand, but in due course you understand. The process is not just Corona, the process is part of space technology, opening up the space to humanity, but through not the way that you think. I explain in detail in writing the procedure, why and how, and the reason for it, and how it needs to be done, and what is the reason we're doing it this way. And in the teachings in coming weeks, gradually we open up that maybe a lot of things we see not correct today needed this correction to become correct, not only for this planet, but the rest of the universe. And don't forget, which I always said, when we teach, it's not just for human race. And we need a lot of backing by the Keshe Foundation community to reach a lot of new goals, new levels. There is a new birth for humanity for the first time to be able to change. And that is not that we have to do it. We might miss the opportunity. We're taking over, there is no opportunity to miss. It'll be done. It'll be done. But step by step, we will release the name of the city, which is cleaned up. Then what they call Tehran. Then a number of cities like Shiraz, Mashhad is the priority. Qom is 39. We go for the center of what we call culture of Iran, Isfahan and Shiraz. And then these 5 cities, then we go to the next cities in sequence. And primarily, we will cover the hospitals. This is our prime, because this is where everybody comes and everybody goes. It doesn't matter what variations of it come, we'll do it. And we have some of the leading doctors and scientists in Iran backing this for it to be done, because what was strange that a lot of you never realized, some of the leading doctors in Iran, which was trusted by the government and leadership, they became part of the support team, so they could see it. Nobody knew who they are, but they were there. They could monitor the changes. It's not fake. It's there because they became part of it. As I said, I sleep tonight with a lot of peace of mind that 18, 20 years of solid work has to start changing the position. And as I said, thanks to all of you, all the knowledge seekers over years, we have managed to at least start making a change. But we will have the losses. We cannot stop what this mayhem this corona has created. Cannot be stopped. But a process, a life without vaccine, a life without medication, a life through understanding of the work of the body of the man through scientific organization started. And we'll take this step by step. Doesn't matter what your prime minister says, they all have been lying in bank, or they've been threatened, or whatever. We are dealing with one of the biggest tyrants of mankind. It's the gate. Tyranny in a massive scale. Where did man change, or was it this way? But he was this way, he was a thief. And he saw a big benefit from his steps from Apple. And now he thought he can do the same. But we don't fight. Don't fight it. Just give us time. Listen to the news. They won't allow you to do anything. A lot of you want to go to the hospitals. A lot of you want to go to your ministers. They won't listen because they're all being paid and all being threatened. And anybody who makes a move, they make a threat against them. This is the way they're operating. And this is the way they have operated. There's no use fighting. There's no use at all fighting because you will get nowhere. A lot of you say, oh, I've been to the minister of this, I've been to the minister of that. They blocked all your ministers. They have stopped all your ministers. They're all involved.
I am very grateful to hear the news that they have signed that, and I am so grateful to be part of the foundation. Thank you for sharing this with us, Mr. Keshe.
We always shared everything, but it wasn't to the benefit of some people to understand.
It's sometimes very difficult to digest how much we have contributed to our own suffering. But boy, when it becomes clear, it's very aha moments. And this work does help us do that.
Yeah, we see what it goes and how it goes. We see what happens.
I am delighted to see that Iran in the future will be her shining glory and not tarnished by all the
It
propaganda
doesn't.
we've been taught. Sorry, we were taught so.
Yeah, it doesn't count at all, and it's part of to be. It's part of how it'll be, and it's the new media. The media, the way they control, but the good thing is that they don't control the media in Iran, and we have decided to do in the right way, and in a way set an example. This is an example. I know it's going to be very hard. A lot of you will go to your governments. A lot of you will change, but they will not listen. As I said in the past couple of weeks to everyone, leave it to us to handle this. Leave it to us to handle it because there's a lot of work. Let me explain to you, even as we speak, as I said before, one of the leading research centers, scientists are staying awake overnight. They volunteered to stay overnight for 5 days to second time confirm. And which means when the scientific papers come out of Iran, has no flaw in it. No flaw, nothing. And we're not there to show to the world. We're there to show to the Iranian nation. And with it, the expansion of the way. And if you want to have no corona, if you don't want your citizens to die, if you don't want to put a budget of bankruptcy, we're doing it our way. And then we are prepared to share it as a big condition. And that is, we want you to sign a peace with Iran and with the rest of the world. Never touch arms. And this is one of the cornerstones of the negotiations, which we insist on, and the Iranian government understood. And Ayatollah Khamenei, in a Friday speech, if you listen to it, has confirmed. We make peace, but sometimes peace could have a bitter end. We have to swallow and forget about it. And if you listen, a lot of people have gone into that space of time. So we're not gonna fight it, we're not gonna go. We've done this as we have to listen to those who back us. The Iranian leadership says, we do it at home. Let's clean up. And as I said, Tehran Khomeini Airport will be the only airport to start in next maybe week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We'll start accepting flights. A lot of flights happens in national. Flights international are a little bit hard, but there are still people who travel. It's not that it's come to an end. I saw Lufthansa saying they have 300 odd flights a week internally in Germany. That is 50 flights, 2 flights are now right across the biggest nation of Central Europe, which is most probably 1 or 2 or 10 people passengers. But we opened the Tehran International Airports for international traffic, and we give a guarantee whoever gets back on board to leave will go without any corona, and they will carry bits with them that they make sure they can protect themselves. And as I said to our team, they ask you where you're coming from. If you're coming from Tehran, you don't need to be quarantined. You already come clean. That'll be a change. That'll be a big change in so many ways. Any questions?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. This is Nikolai from Canada. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. I just had a question. I wanted to ask how we would, if we were passengers on an airplane coming back to our own country, continue to keep ourselves in our own communities from reinfection.
What do you mean?
If I came to Tehran and I fly in and I leave beautiful and happy and free of the corona, do I have a possibility of recontracting it within my own community,
Yes.
let's say in Canada?
Yes.
And how would I be best able to take care of myself in that case?
Yes, you can, because it's mutating. Dr. Azza sent me a message today, Mr. Keshe. 3 children have died in New York with a new, and they think it's a new type of virus of corona. And I said, give me 10 minutes, I can save their lives. This is not, you've seen in New York, we had 2 cases in Iran in past 2 weeks. Literally dying with the doctors in the hospital. And I just received, one of our top team guys got it. With the doctors, as I said, the Keshe Foundation team, we have a 24-hour doctor with our team, they're called top team. He is part of the team, but he's always with them. 24 hours a day. We have 2 doctors looks after the Keshe Foundation team in Iran. They're literally with them day and night. They traveled today, yesterday, 8 hours away, returned, and the doctor was in the car with them. And one of our top guys came from a meeting from officials. I don't know why the officials had the worst time. Every time we go and see some of these high-ranking people, our team goes down with the worst case than before. He came, and he went down, and they gave him everything. They went through the protocol 1, protocol 2, and they called me. They said, Mr. Keshe, the 2 doctors cannot do anything. He's even taken the what do you call it, the headbands and everything off. He's vomiting. As I said it before, I said, this is what I want you to do. 5 minutes, it was changed. As nothing happened. We had the same with a girl in northern Iran, near Mashhad, last week. Doctors couldn't understand. Same exact situation as in New York. They arrived, less than half an hour now later, was not there. It'll mutate. This virus has the intelligence, and this virus has a soul. Most probably knows what it's doing. And it's not one virus, it's becoming like communities, building its own cities, building its own structure. And don't forget, when we said things that there's going to be corona, this and that, they all laughed. And now you will see it. We will have communities in areas which they exist. And these are the communities where we have to work on. Because it's in the scientific paper which is getting published. So, yes, you will catch, because by the time you've been away, Corona has been busy and is mutated.
Mr. Keshe, I asked a question before this group actually started, and so it wasn't recorded and most people weren't here yet. But I just maybe should repeat the question. Your answer was a confirmed don't do it, but just in case they had the same thought I did when I saw the patches in the suit, you are not recommended that we make our own patches because the plastic of the bag, we don't know what kind of plastic it is. That's correct, yes?
Yes, Caroline came to me.
I know, I just wanted to make sure everybody...
Yes, Caroline came. What happened, we have no choice in taking a risk, or sometime you will see a lot of people, we take position in different ways as the situation changes. The risk of using plastics and possible creation of CH3 is a small factor to what it can do in overcoming the rest. I have a concern about it. I have a big concern about it. But we have tested it in Iran. And at this moment of time, we have not seen that much problem to stop it. But on the other hand, we haven't seen, one of the main things we are looking for is the decomposition of the plastic. And as long as we don't see that, we are staying on guard, but very careful. Do not touch CH3, stay away from as much as you can. Don't forget, you make your gases in plastic containers, all of you. You hold it in plastic bottles. But in the proximity of the body, we don't want it to be, because it's unknown how our body reacts and how corona we might use it. And I think the time will tell. Time will tell. We advise you not to do it. But on the other hand, everything more or less you use is plastic. We were monitoring if it's going to be changes. You use plastic bottles to hold it, you use plastic bottles to containers to build it. And we have seen positive, but we still stay on the cautious side near the body.
Thank you for the very good clarification, Mr. Keshe.
We have to be always. This one is charging. But here. You put there? Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a question for Mr. Keshe?
I wasn't supposed to be here. How I got here, I don't know.
Not my fault. Yasmin, are you here?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for everything you do for our family. And I am wonder what is this a funny smell well, from the bathtub when we use it? Is the part of our body that is healing?
Pardon?
Yeah. There is a smell after we bath, but not the same day, like the day after we use the bath. The next day we refill, but what keep the guns water
Yeah.
have some smell.
Yes, I know. Caroline tells me it smells like fish. I said, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, maybe you understand something. Maybe you understand something. If you listen to Thursday teaching, I said, I'll drop a water in the tank and you'll get a fish. Or I drop a water and you get a human being in the tank. You recall that?
Yes, I remember that.
So, you're a fish. And this water is a live water.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
And when you stay in it, you carry the proteins. You actually start the first cycle of the live production of life.
Oh.
Now you understand. But instead of one drop, is the whole body skin which is soaked and now it starts processing. If you leave that water long enough and add a few little bits to it, you'll see a lot of fishes.
Wow.
Now you understand.
Yeah.
It's called, if you look at it, you put a mixture of CO2 sorry, cup number 1 and cup number 2. And when you put cup 1 and cup 2 together, you call it cup of man, which
Okay.
is reflection of your soul, if you understand it. Now you have done that in the bath.
Oh.
People don't understand why we do things. You wanted your cup of life to be sitting on the shelf. You swim within your cup of life.
Oh,
Now you understand.
I
If you
see.
look at it, you are the conductor between the two cups, if you look at it the other way. In the cups, cup of man, you make one cup and you connect it with the other cup with the same materials, which is cup 1, cup 2. Now you are that part of it. In a way, you connect yourself to the cup, but the cup is a liquid cup, the way life was started. And life is a fishy life. What did you expect? You wanted a steak and ham smell from it.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of work in hidden, because when Caroline told me, there's a problem, smells of fish. I said, of course, what do you expect?
Also, I noticed that it's like my body is refining in some way to say, like I prefer, if I now scans my main product, or if I can say in the words, like I choose to put gans in my hands to wash. My skin is softer, and
What do you mean?
my skin is getting like, before, when I touch my skin is softer than before I was sick. And the regular products, I don't want to use the soap. It's like a baby,
Yeah.
it's like a baby, because it's other products make.
Maybe you got rid of all the fishy skin, that's why the bath smells of fish.
I see. And my other question is, we are cleaning up the house, and I'm finding out that there are spots or things that has the feel of the corona. Is some point an indoor house. Well, we live in a small apartment, like 1,000 square feet. At some point that we are going to really clean up the corona, or is gonna live with us?
We live with this thing because it's, if you think of it, I was explaining this to the Iranian scientists. We craved to be in a space, we crave to be part of the universal community. And what is universal community? And this is interaction with the fields. That's what it is. We have to recognize them. If we would have met this corona in a space, and we had the knowledge now we have, and we gathering now, would have killed so many of us like this in space. There's a reason this is on here with us, and the way its combinations and its mutation is literally teaching us and will teach human being how to live with energies in the space. We call them viruses. Was it the will of God for us to do this? Was it without us knowing, Bill Gates being the tool of it, pre-run test for us to be ready for that interaction? I explained recently, and I emphasize on it more and more, that there'll be more interface interactions, and I've seen people putting videos, live videos, more and more in past few days. And the reality is, let's say, one of these systems lands and 100, 200, 1,000, 10,000 beings come out of it. You see them as light, which a lot of you will see as a light. And while that light in front of you, they take the shape of human. Because this is how you recognize. Or they take a shape that you recognize, or you can recognize, or you can associate. Might be a slightly different color than we are used to it. Or it could be a slightly different shape. And this is the problem. And this is what we got to learn. Are we going to cuddle them? Are we going to kiss them? Would we eat them? How many of you would like to taste them? And would we recognize them as viruses? Or will we recognize them as another being? Is the aura energy around them like a virus to us? Or are they aware of our weaknesses, that they change their strength that doesn't harm us? Shouldn't we do this? And then we learn more, we understand more. And we had a peer run. Or when these beings come and we touch them and we get something, we run to a gas, stop and just jump in it. let me balance myself before we can go any further. But don't forget, they've been amongst us for a long
Mr. Keshe, I'm well aware of that because when my wife had cancer and she had to go to the hospital to get a biopsy, and she came back with the diagnosis of cancer, I was very relieved because that's why she went to the hospital. If she'd have come back and been a moose or a rhinoceros, I'd have been really upset. Can I
What
ask?
do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, she went for a biopsy for cancer and she came back and it was positive. So I was very grateful because that's what the problem was. So, but I'm just saying.
What are you gonna do with it?
Well, we were able to do something about it, but it wasn't as sophisticated as what we're doing today. And now we're seeing the path forward in a different light, and how it actually. My introduction to the whole thing was that's all I was looking for, was a way to treat the cancer. I didn't want to know all about this life and how to grow things and how to heal things and all that, but it was a necessary lesson, and that's how I've arrived here. And so now we're seeing that it isn't just the virus; it's how to live with it and how to bring peace on this planet the way it was originally intended to, and the way the rest of the universe works. So we as you say, we are the virus here in so many ways.
Yeah, but the reality is all of us go through experiences to be where we are, and um, in so many ways a lot of us are here through destiny, not by accident. Some are passengers passing through, some are here just suddenly to see the show, but many of us are key souls who've been brought to see this happen. We don't carry the name and title of general and everything else. We will understand that lifestyle, the way we are, the way we live, some of it, let me put it this way. I explained this to somebody in a different way, maybe not to be misinterpreted. You see what I call clowns like Gates, who come and they think they plan and they do things. We planned thousands of years ago. I explained the detail, what is going to happen in writing. What is about to happen is been written in writing. What is about to happen it would have happened with gate or without gate, in respect to changes which are to come. And this corona situation brought a new dimension into it. And in so many ways, what is happening now, you might say, oh, the corona came and it just brought it. It's been promised for thousands of years. And to be that, a lot of souls have been put in position. And there are many souls I know who are there, and are there to be the, what I call, old friends. And these, when we come equipped. We just don't come just to do something and try to change. And this is what to you might look, because you look at it on a daily basis or whatever, what's got to do with you. But not only we look at what it's got to do with you, what's got to do with your country, as you made in the country, what's got to do with this planet, what's got to do with the life in the galaxies and the universe and the unicorns. I explained this in writing very recently, that every single one of you, or one of anything in the universe, has connection with every magnet on the table. It's a sequence of consequence of certain moves. And I've shown it many times, and I always remember Rick has a very good stand on top with all the magnets. When you put a magnet, doesn't matter how many you move one, everything else moves. And you put a key one in the middle, the whole lot moves. I once wanted to see what would be the effect and reactions of magnets. In a way, I would say the soul, if you call it, because we are all spherical magnets. Those of you who've been around with me in some of the labs, I carry huge amount of magnets, tens of thousands of euros and dollars of magnets, because it's the only way I can understand physically how to transfer knowledge of creation into man's work, because you work with magnets. And the strangest thing with it is, and I have a special tables that nothing sticks to. And I could simulate universes, and I could simulate galaxies, and I could simulate the soul of the man in respect to the galaxies and the universes. You put a little tiny magnet in the middle of the whole structure you set up. You see a lot of them move to accommodate that little magnet. Even the big magnets move. And that little tiny magnet is the soul of a man. So we have connection to everything. And if you understand this, it's very easy to understand the change which is brought today is not just with the human. It's a bigger, much larger scale much, 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 much large. That's what I keep on saying when I teach. It's not for the man, but this is for the soul of the universe. Others listen because there is a change, fundamental change, and that change has started. Needed to be changed, and I've explained in detail why and how Earth was chosen.
The one thing that may be different is the time frame. You mentioned that the Earth has aged rapidly, like millions of years forward, more than what it should have.
It ages anyway till it goes to zero. You know, the age of the Earth is like women. The older they get, the younger they become. So,
Me too.
sorry, sorry about that. But the older the Earth gets, it gets closer to the mother, and the younger it becomes. Your life's very rapid. Don't forget, the process of life on this planet, due to its position and structure, is very much more progressive because it receives a higher energy from the sun. Intellect changes. You see, if you look at the Venus and others in front or the ones behind us, they are centrally aligned. They carry life, but monoatomic, what we call boring life, I call it. Everything is the same. And planets like Earth are, because of the angle. Mankind will come across a very funny race. We call them, if you call it, shakers. And these are the most funniest people, but extremely intelligent beings in the universe. Why I call them shakers is because the process of this, like Earth, doesn't happen over 1,000 years. It happens millions and millions of years. Sometimes planets go through the phase change where they cannot go, so they start vibrating. But they have created a life, and they have the most strangest combination of lives in them. It's like putting somebody in a shaker and just shake it. You know, these earth shakers, they shake the earth to get the sand out. They literally shake like this in the universe. Can you imagine? Very much like a drunk, you try to walk and you shake and fall over, but on a systematic rhythm for millions of years. The planet doesn't shake up, doesn't break itself up. It just moves with it, and it creates life. Certain life. It happens a few times, and I call it the shakers. And these people are extremely intelligent. Extremely intelligent. They are. Let's put it this way: if it takes 1,000 years to teach a man, it take 1 day. As I said, the intelligence of man because first of all, the angle of the planet. Secondly, man goes from horizontal to vertical very easy. So the physicality and the soul has to adjust to it. We get up. That getting up, when you sleep flat and then you get up to stand up, this is a huge, a tremendous change of position and feel the strength. And we walk it. Animals go flat. They stand up, but they go back on 4 legs. We don't do that. Even if you look at the gorillas, they have to bend forward. We don't do. So we lock from one position to another. We accept a diversity of intelligence, information. And now imagine if you get up, you're born in an environment like Earth, and you get up. Now you want to stand up. And in that process, you shake too. So you have to think a lot of things that from this point to that point, I can stand up, I don't fall, I have everything, there's things everywhere, you organize it. Every time you move, you shake. So that brings additional intelligence because you become aware of the environment and the condition of yourself. And these shakers are that way. If you understand it, it would explain. And this brings intelligence. And mankind has gone through that process. And so with different intelligence, mankind when it goes to space will create different intelligence. As I said, what I've requested from universal community is to, when mankind opens up his eyes to the horizon of his future, they set up what you call, let me explain to you, like 3D, what we call holograms of the life of man and what to come. Then you can see your history which has been recorded, and you learn what to come in the future before you go to space. You will see a horizon, and you see the history. But a lot of you will not see it with your eyes. You'll see it through the eye of your soul. It means you comprehend it as part of the structure of what you already knew. My work is not so easy. I have to understand the man and deal with the man. At the same time, I have to work with those who come to educate man. It's like I said to the head of Keshe Foundation, and then the head of Keshe Foundation, and what we set up in the background is education teams and the education for youngsters, and then we have to do education for the older one, and then we have to organize whatever comes with it. I have to do the same thing on the other side. Because in the way I've been here, I understand, man. It's like when I tell you, I understand Chinese because I had to go and live in China to understand that part of the mentality. And in that process, we got to set up things that mankind can accept when it comes. But don't expect to see soldiers and armies and people coming. No. A lot of you who are enlightened will see through the eye of your soul. You'll be shown. And some of you, as here, you might ask questions, can we see the crucifixion of Christ? It'll be shown. You'll see it through the eye of your soul. You want to see the wars, you want to see the history of man, how you came out of a hole as a mammal, how you cope with the dinosaurs, all been recorded. So, What are you going to see and what you want to see? One of the things which I'm asking the universal community is to open the history of the British monarchy. You'll understand why. And I asked for Japan Emperor household, their lives to be opened up. You understand in the future why. And we open. It's not that we went and took a picture of every animal, every soul which lived here. It's like the way you take a snapshots of walking through the zoo, or going for a mountain climbing, or you go walking on the street and you see something you take. The citizens of the universe have taken pictures, memory of being on Earth. Or those who were responsible for operation of it have recorded through their souls. And that's what you're going to see. But we can't open up, as I said just recently to someone. You're not ready for it yet. You're not ready for it yet. It takes time. Few more months, few more weeks. Let's get the peace on way. Let's get people to understand more. Let's change the tie of the man's mentality away from war and everything else. And then we go to the next step. You got to understand. You got to mature. Mankind needs to mature, and it matures very fast. You will mature. You have no choice, put it this way. Corona has put you on the track. A lot of people will go back, they will go back to prices. Everybody like pharmaceutical will change, military movement will change, and position with a lot of things will change. Man is deeply wounded by this corona. Deeply wounded. A lot of people are claiming to go back to normal. You cannot go back to normal. You can't. You won't walk on the street and stay in the lift and think, how many of us have a corona? Am I going to get infected? Our behavior will change. And change of behavior will bring a lot of mental attitudes. People haven't realized what this corona is going to do to you. I stood on the balcony and I watched people's behavior. And it's strange. They walk to still pass each other, but there is that feeling, there is that point that, is it going to give me a corona? Am I safe? Or subconsciously we don't do anything with it until we get it, and that's it. Now we're going to handle it. I go till the last minute, and I do. 6 weeks, over 30,000 people have died in the United Kingdom. If you make it 5 weeks, it's 30 days, 1,000 people a day. It's nothing. But I tell you one thing, multiply 30,000 by let's say about 10 million people in UK at this moment carry the virus. And these numbers will increase to the total numbers, maybe 50% and plus. And over time, everyone will be affected by it. How many of you might die of it. Or the governments find a way to fiddle with the figures and don't tell you the truth. Oh, it was a stroke. But what was the cause of the stroke? Corona. We have now a lot of people coming up with different problems. The toes, the children dying, everything else. How far will it go? We got two choices. We live with Corona, and we live with the viruses from the universe. Maybe this Corona is the first one which is solidified in our body or got life. Or it'll take all of us and we become his servant. We have to create an environment for it, or it will create an environment for us.
As a follow-up to Nikolai's question then, and I think you alluded to it before, we will need other cups to help us with the mutations, is that correct?
What do you mean?
One cup and the second cup are not enough.
In some ways, yes. Of course you will.
Mr. Keshe, it's me, Yasmin again. When you said that Iran is clean, it means like you with the gases you create and the people, you create a new environment that Corona is living with you, or the environment changed then for him to move away.
What do you mean?
Yes, if Corona, it's like I am trying to understand what really means clean. Is like he went to another place when we are in the gas bathtub and drinking, we are feeding it in a point that is gone, is satisfied, or is in balance with us. What is happening?
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's it's like I'm trying to make sense with because I remember you told us that because Gans is a giver, so it's a magnet, so it's attracting Corona and it's depleting. But
The thing is, the gas is not attracting, the gas is interacting. And this is what I said. The in the present time, we kill, we destroy, we overcome by destroying or killing or capturing. In the new knowledge we share, we accommodate. And Corona as an energy will be accommodated. The same as we accommodate what you call aliens. They are another pack of energy which take the shape of the man. And to what extent you will be ready for it, does every one of us like every fruit on this planet? Does every one of us accept every package of energy in the universe?
So then my protocol, my GANS protocol helps me to share this, is my body a house for me, and also right now for, well, and all the beings that lives or creates the body, cells, you know. So we are sharing this house with Corona. So GANS helps me to share the same house with Corona.
We're all sharing house with Corona now, more or less. I think from Amazon to Alaska to North Pole and everywhere else. It's become part of us, but the strangest thing is how did it become fast, so fast, everywhere. This is what I wrote and I explained very recently. Why are we getting Lee Samnak twice, back on and back on? Please, if anybody sees anybody waiting, because Caroline has gone to sleep.
I'm getting him, but for some reason he keeps coming back, and I don't know if he's disconnecting or having problems getting in somehow. He keeps coming, and then I let him in, and then he comes back, and I let him in again, and this time I agree, Mr. Keshe, he was there waiting twice. And he's still waiting, but one of his other waitings is gone.
I'm having the same problem.
Yeah, okay,
And,
so you look after that side.
I'm hoping Carolina isn't asleep yet. She needs to make me host so that I can close the
Oh my God. Yeah, she's in Coco Land, I think.
She's
Don't
still
wake
holding
her.
the. She's still
No,
holding.
she's already awake. She's supposed to sleep with the earphone.
Yeah, she's still holding the host button. So
Yeah, where is
closing
the
button.
host button? How do you get to the host button? It's amazing. I know nothing about these things.
Okay, so if you hover over my name.
She's there. She woke
she's
up.
got
She
it.
heard you. Yeah, she's got it. Yeah.
Thank you, Carolina.
Otherwise, she would have gone the whole night. We'll be recording. Pardon? Wait a minute.
I just said thank you, Carolina. That's all.
I thought you were recording. I saw a red recording on it.
Yes, I'm recording, but not to the cloud, only to my computer.
Yeah, it's okay because I've seen recording.
Yes, and we have a few others that are doing private recordings as well.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Anyway, I just came here to say a little bit, but I said too much. But we gotta learn to live with this guy. And we gotta respect it as much as he respects us. He has no respect for us. He has his own agenda, and he's decided his own, what I call invasion. We have to see how things go with this situation.
Mr. Keshe, may I ask a question?
Yes, no problem.
When are the Iranians going to announce to the world what's going on with the corona? Now they
We're not going to announce. I already made the announcement. We're not going to announce it. We're going to do it. And we're going to make sure we do it our way. We make it public. We're not holding back, but we are not going to say whatever. We're going to do it and show it is done and let the others to follow. And in so many ways, maybe it's the wrong way, maybe it's the right way, because whatever the Iranians do is something wrong with it according to what the guy decides, the blondie and his paymaster, so we don't care. We got to go this way, because don't forget, as I said to someone in the past, we used to be a household of emperors. According to statistics, Iran has ever been the largest monarchy emperor ever mankind has seen. 40% of Earth's landmass used to be run by the Persian Empire. And so there is no understanding of what we know, and we understand a lot, which has become part of our culture and part of our genetic structure. We lead, we just go with it and let the others follow. And this is one of the ways to be, one of the ways to stand. Let me explain to you something which you do not understand. I want to tell you a part of the history which is not known, but you got to know. Most probably some of you do, but you never understood it this way. Why there is a separation in the Islamic world between Shia and Sunnis, and why the Shia sect sits in Iran, and why the ones who are connected to Muhammad, which bear the name of Sayyid, are so special and come that way. And why we keep this the way, and has been kept the way it is, and will be that way forever to be. The reason Shia religion stays in Iran and with the Iranians and so preciously guarded, when Muhammad came, he understood that the Iranians believed in one God. And he said they have the same, and long before we have. So I'm not fighting with them, because my fight is to bring mankind to understand the existence of one God. So he never waged a war on Iran. When he died, his disciples or whatever waged a war on Iran. His family had the same understanding as him, that these people have their own belief in one God, which was Zoroastrianism. And they took the side of Iran. And then, when his disciples, his uncles or whatever, were going to loot Iran for his wealth of it, the sons of, or grandsons of Muhammad stood against it. And in that process, when the disciples killed the Shah of Iran, the king, which was Zoroastrians, and he went through the cycle of it, their grandson married the daughter of the king. And that's how Iranian culture is mixed up with the Arab nations, with Islam. We carry a blood of Muhammad and blood of the old Zoroastrian name. Which means when you are called a Sayyid, you're not just a Muslim to Muhammad. You carry the root of the belief in Zoroastrianism and in Mithraism. And this is why, if you look, the Arab nations celebrate whatever they do because they never had a culture. But the Iranians still celebrate the Nowruz, the Eid, and we kept the two together. The two religions lived side by side, one in the disguise of the other. And this is why you see, when you call the Sayyid, it means you come from the land, inheritance of old Iran, the Zoroastrianism, and blood of Muhammad. Because the prince, all the descendants of Muhammad are born from that princess. Again through the woman. And in so many ways, we see the same culture running down, because Romans were bonded and binded to that Zoroastrianism through that princess. And in so many ways, we carry a very special understanding in respect to the Islamic faith and religion and Iranian culture, which is 40% of the world landmass at the time. And the law of time was peaceful coexistence. And now when we take back in the position, we'll go back to our roots of Zoroastrianism, peaceful coexistence. And in so many ways, what would be the destiny of the man? And how would we react into it, and how we will bring it, is what I said. It's in so many ways, if you read or seen in very recent writings, talks I give, that we make one nation out of this planet. And we make one Iran out of this planet. Which means we bring the lords of Zoroaster and Mitra back into life. This is how the original life started. They say the oldest village in the world is in north of Iran. They have fine culture 9,000 years ago. 7,000 before Christ. But what does this culture gonna bring? Peace, because now it shows itself again. Was it protected under the cover of the Islam and Shiism and different names of Sayyids and the rest of it, that now goes back to its origin, the way we're going back to where we came from, talk good, do good and live good, which is the way of the universe. When you come to time of space, when you think good, first thing you think is my energy detrimental to one who receives my energy or is in touch with it? What can I change for not to be harmed? And then you do good. You take that step to not to harm. Even it might be a sacrifice to you that you have to lose something because it's you who entered or it's you who is the detrimental to that point. Way of thinking has to change. And way of understanding operation of the soul has to change. And then you come the way the universal law is and the way the Mitraism is or Zoroastrianism is. We are going back to where it started with a few thousand years of mess by Christians, the Jews, the Buddhists, the Muslims and everything else which was put in the pot. But with the knowledge this time that we don't forget, because this time we write it in the pen of the soul. So if you see it's coming from Iran, any other question?
Mr. Keshe, I can hear the exhaustion in your voice. I want to thank you.
No, I have been there. We've been working. We have a lot of work is done in the background. We are still in meetings in the background with the others, waiting for communication and conferences in 2-3 countries, which is going on. We snap rest in between wherever it is. Caroline says, whenever I see you going, I just say, okay, that's all it needs.
Okay.
No problem. I was working till 4 o'clock this morning. There's a lot of education to be done. There's a lot of teaching to be done. And I have taken to elevate souls, especially for the changes to come. And it needs to be taught and to be learned and to be understood by these souls. And we start a new cycle. And the cycle has to be the correct way, that the mistakes of the past can't happen. And these brings and these changes, and these changes has to be done the right way. The problem, or not the problem, the situation is that we have to teach individuals, governments, groups, look after a lot of souls which are there, and at the same time set the scene for the new birth, new cycle.
May I ask another question, Mr. Keshe?
Yeah.
What countries have actually got hold of you for help with the corona?
What do you mean? Can you repeat?
For instance, which governments have got hold of you to assist with the corona?
We don't need. We collaborated from the beginning with the Chinese and the Iranian. That's all we wanted. I chose because we were with Chinese. You see, the governments always, especially in the West, have ways to block, because they come from the mentality of what is being said. The Chinese have their own way of doing things, and we have our own way of doing things, and somewhere we need to understand that giving up on the West was the best thing to do, and concentrating on the East was the best thing to do, because the West is well controlled and in the hand of what they call organized crimes. I have a very big question, and this question will raise this very fast. How come Mr. Gate can have a close relationship with one of the most famous pedophiles on a regular basis? We put a very big question mark on the integrity of his behavior and closeness to the guy who died in New York. And we are gathering evidence. We will go for pedophile case, and it cannot be unknown. These people choose their cronies. Or I tell you what is merging in the background is I have to be very careful to put it that you understand it. The way we've seen, Gate has taken control over everything else. Evidence coming up that Gate has used this man who died by hanging, you know who I'm talking about, in New York jail, to plant, to find weaknesses on the world leaders through this process, that he could bring the pressures of present time on them. There's a criminal connection between the two, not by act, but by proxy. Let me explain to you what has happened. In the elections of a certain African nation, a number of Chinese prostitutes were brought into the country, extremely beautiful. And they were placed strategically in positions where the present ruling government was frequenting. And they took live pictures of the ruling parties in bed with the Chinese girls. And they used that to pressurize the party opposite. And there is a question mark on behavior of Gate in this respect. We were looking how world leaders are bending and not letting him do what he likes. But he financed, as part of his financing, the what we call using this man to provide children for them to be videoed, that he could ransom them to push his agenda. He's a criminal. And you remember when we started gathering intelligence on Sterling? Now, the Keshe Foundation securities are gathering very high intelligence. He can put this in public, we have no problem. The relationship between the two and why he was killed comes not from what you thought, it comes through a different way. So in providing the young children videoed with leading world politicians given to Gate, now he's pressurizing that way. He's a criminal. And we're onto him. He won't go very far. He can say he has never touched a young girl. And he said in his interview, sometime you misjudge. He did not misjudge. He used to collect, to intimidate, and to provoke, and to ransom. This question has to be answered. And as we're coming in the public domain, we'll put this in public. Blackmail. It might shock you, but when we submitted evidence about Sterling, FBI officer said, you've done all the work, we just need the last push. Now we had to look how he was pushing world leaders, how he could get away. He put everything. He has put many young children in bed with many world leaders and photographed it. And Gates has paid for the expenses. So now you understand that. This is one of the ways he has taken and done. And this is one of the reasons I told you, we'll show you what happened in British monarchy. As you heard, one of the Queen's sons has been well informed and been in there, and his warrant for his arrest in the US is already issued. We gather enough that when we come, by association, Rothschilds will go the same way. He took even pictures from them and their group. He's taken a lot of people to ransom. A lot of people want to see the end of him, but they can't because of what he's done. But put it this way, in Keshe Foundation, we're untainted. We can do our work.
Another question, if I may ask.
Yep.
What African country was it?
Oh, it's a beautiful sky day. Any other question?
Does this mean that the speedboat to the U.S. Space naval ship is off?
Still on.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We don't change anything. There are certain things to be done, certain things to be shown. Let us do it. We have to accommodate now. We go in very soon with the Chinese in the same direction, and the Russians are coming in the same direction. And step by step, step by step.
Thank you for what you're doing, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Oh, we are all doing it together.
We are, but you really are. Are you the Messiah they're going to finally declare, Mr. Keshe?
We always declared.
Oh, I know that you, but you, somewhere in your writings you said there was a group that's going to declare the Messiah has come. So I thought, of course he has, it's Mr. Keshe. And I know we're each a Messiah, but I was just enjoying the recognition.
No, but the thing is, the earth doesn't need saving. The earth needs awakening. It's a big difference.
So
And
sorry.
we need to awaken.
I see the
That's
one
all.
cup that you're giving us as the awakening tool. It's definitely helping us wake up.
It's just a matter of awakening.
The reason I asked you about which countries have communicated with you, because trying to get through to my government about Keshe Foundation and the technologies available to help, they just show no interest at all.
Nobody is, because you have to understand, there is a dossier opened up on Keshe Foundation, signed by the Americans, and initiated by the Belgians. And they never thought we'll take this across till the time we can, and then it'll pass over. But it didn't pass over. It will not pass over.
I'm not going to give up with him.
No, you don't need to. Listen, I know African, like the Germans, like the Americans, you're all trying to get in, to get governments. Ask yourself one question, why? They've been told, don't touch. Because this is not an agenda of what they accepted the money in their banks. Gates knows we are the only alternative to his work. You know why? He tried to buy it. Gate tried very hard to buy the foundation, the work, the knowledge. I negotiated with him for weeks and months. Can you imagine, just can you imagine, if we would have gone into bed with Gates and he had this on top of what he had as a plan. This technology on top of it in his hand. My God. You human beings would have had no chance. You're done and dusted, as we say. Done and dusted.
The universe with the way that guy was after things.
He is not what it is, but I have a very bad habit. And that is, when I target something to understand, I target till I understand. And if I decide to get something done, it gets done. And this comes as part of being confident and part of knowing who I am. I never gave any ransom and I never sold my soul to no one. And I have a very strange habit. I want, I ask, I get. Because what I get is not for me alone. It belongs to a lot of other things because it says it's part of a bigger structure. And there's a bigger structure behind all the things you see. There's a big evolution. And it has to come. It has to come to change. And if we don't talk it and teach it, who do you think is going to touch, teach, and talk it? No one. And now we can do. And you're part of it, you do the same. None of us is angel. But at the same time, we try to bring a life to be an angel life for those who live with us, amongst us. And it needs time. It needs a lot of time. It needs a lot of understanding. It needs... your problem is trying to convince a government. My problem is not convincing, it's setting up a structure for the universe. That this structure hasn't started yesterday or today, it's thousands of years. I explained to one of the knowledge seekers why we chose the Earth, why Earth is going through this process, but you only look at your angle, your side, but we look at the totality of all the events which are in the background. It's much more than what you think. As I said, man is always self-centered. A bigger change is on the way. Much, much bigger than you can ever imagine. I explained to one person only in the past 48 hours. Because it's time to educate for people to know why. And we are very, very adamant. So it's not trying to play games, because it's time to explain why. It's time for people to understand why. It's time for people who are involved in it to understand this is what is being said to be, because there's a part of a bigger structure. Bigger, much bigger. But it is a beautiful thing, because it's a new beginning. It's a new life. It's a new change, not for mankind. And it's a change for a lot of things which puts mankind and a lot of things in order for things to happen. I speak very clearly. It's you who have to understand it. Even today, if you, in time, this recording are listened by knowledge seekers and humanity, and non-humanity for those who we consider as our guests, they say, Why didn't he tell the whole lot in one go? Because you're not ready. You're not ready. If I tell you what is about to happen, you won't even comprehend it. What is about to happen? Why? You look at the earth and the time. Why has it been chosen this way? There's a lot of reasons. Go back in my teaching. I have explained everything in detail, but in a hidden way. If somebody settles and in a way unraffles it and decode it, you will see he always told us what he's going to do, but we didn't listen. He told us what is about to happen. And a lot of it was, a lot of things had to be done. This is what I said. A lot of your souls have been chosen to be here. And souls which have a specific job to be here to do. And they think they're doing other things. But no, whatever you do or whatever you've done is part of what is said to be done. It's supposed to happen. Because that's why you're here. That's why I encourage a lot of you to get in touch with your soul. Try to understand your soul. Because then you understand, this is my physical life and this is my responsibility as a soul to the other things which has been accepted for me to be here. In a way, your physicality is given a responsibility by your soul, and you don't see it, but the soul takes you there till it's done. There is a huge celebration on the way. Huge celebration. And one of the reasons, as I said, you will understand very soon why you see so many UFOs and whatever you call it, and some come without a UFOs because they use other ways of means, because there is a celebration to take place. And I worn this one for nearly 8 years, 10 years. It's a change for the whole structure. And I keep on saying in teachings, and I keep on repeating it, but nobody understands it, won't able to understand it, that we take man into space, into universal community, to be equal and not subordinate. But you have to understand there is a lot of inequalities in the universe itself. So in this process, everybody becomes the same. It's not just for you, just because you see the earth. There's a lot of adjustments and stuff, tweaking it here and there to adjust it. What we call, you call it a creator, we call it the origin, has decided that everything will be cleaned up in one go, that we don't have any more mess, so everybody goes the same way, equal. It's not just for a man. And the reason we chose the earth has got its own specific reason, which has been explained. So, what else do you want me to tell you?
Is this the realization of what you taught us of when Venus moves and we get closer? Is that closer than 10 years from now?
Is much, much closer than you
okay,
can.
So that's the surprise? Okay.
It's not the Venus to get closer. It's the whole restructure of the universal community.
Okay.
As you understand, Earth is, I mean, when you start changing somewhere, we start somewhere, you always start from a position. And then you understand more. You know, a lot of people understand more. And I start a lot of things which was in ambiguity in the past, I start putting it very much in the front for people to see, to understand. And even if you understand a lot of it, we partially try to bring it in during the time of Elia Kostova. That far back.
Mr. Keshe,
it wasn't there. Yes?
you said there's a lot of inequalities in the universes.
Inequality in knowledge, nothing else, in understanding.
Okay. Clear. Thanks.
There is no banks, there is no overdrafts and borrowing. In a way, if I can tell you, it's like unifying all the communities in Europe as one, and everybody uses the same currency and the same education system and health.
Is it part of what was told us in the Bible, in the Revelations, that the whole world will come to be one? Is that it?
As a human, your world is Earth. As us, the whole world is a unicos. So in any way, yes. We were waiting for a completion of one cycle, and that cycle was completed. On the other hand, we were waiting for arrival of one, and was arrived. And when we arrive, we have to place it in the right place. And that was placed, and it was accepted. And the change starts from the time when everything is in position accepted. This is the what is and has been. Finding the right souls, finding the right people who, it's just, you're waiting for your brother come before you start the party, and no party happens till he arrives, or you wait for your, what do you call it, a star guest to arrive, otherwise the party doesn't start. How can you start a birthday party without a birthday boy or a birthday girl? And that's what we're waiting for. But then you have to translate into physicality. We see the dimension has both physical and the soul, what we call the soul, or a packet of energy, which has a logical sequence of understanding of the totality of the work of universe. Your body understands the physical part of the life. Your soul understands the work of the universe. So everything had to be done, that everything fits. Now you understand more, we tell you more. And this is why I keep on saying in all the teachings, when we teach for the whole of the universe. For them to become equal to, I haven't hidden anything from you. But because you don't understand, you're just being a voice. Now as more and more of you mature in the understanding and in the soul, you understand what is about to happen. And we were waiting for the princess to arrive, as we call it. And it's arrived. And then the cycle has taken place for it, and he has to go. Nothing changes. And the process is that the whole structure goes into balance. You see, from now on, you decide. If I travel with my soul, I understand every other soul. If I travel with a, let's say UFO, everybody is there the same as me, understands the same. There is no animosity, there is no war. There is no misunderstanding. Nobody becomes nobody's food. Have you been in these Chinese restaurants that they have this very long, flat fish. And it's only one fish usually in the tank. And they put live small goldfish in it. And if you just arrived, you say, what a beautiful thing, such a big fish, gorgeous, and all these little goldfish are swimming around him. But if you come back next week, you see there are no goldfishes. They are his food. Eaten one by one. You can understand the fearing of each goldfish knowing that they are the bait when it's going to be their turn. When you go next time to a Chinese restaurant and you see these fishes, just have a look. It's not accidental. It's been put in there to be eaten. And this is what we want to take out. And this is now, from now on, will be taken out with the new birth. That everyone, in a way, through the birth of physicality and the soul, elevates to the same image. You live a physical life, but you don't kill. You live a soul life, but you don't touch. So education is for both sides. And you will see more and more, we see people are reporting huge number of lights and everything else. Yes, it's the time. You got somebody who's got his hand up, Yasmin Sanchez.
Yasmin, did you need to speak again, or is that from last time, dear?
Oh, well, no, right now. But thank you, Mr. Keshe, for everything you are doing for this family and answering my questions. We send you our love.
You're welcome. How's your son?
Victor is doing better. He doesn't have the ear pain anymore, just has the rash behind the ear. He's still doing the patches.
These rashes are calcium conversion. You have to keep an eye on it and try to convert it. I'll send you a message what to do to get rid of, at least trying to see if we can get rid of it. Because you have to take it out, or it has to dissolve, that it doesn't become something else. These are what we said in the future will become cancer if it's inside the body of the man. In the outside, the way you see it, it's okay because you see it, it won't become, we can keep an eye on it. But if the same, the rashes created in the layer of the womb, in the layer of the heart, in the layer of the lung, become cancer. And this is what we're trying to do. Trying to, in a way, to reverse calcification.
Oh, okay, I see. With Alfonso, what happened is he has like a fungus in his toe, but was coming out, but then something green appeared inside the skin. So Carolina.
Is he converting to a Martian with the green part?
Well, hopefully he becomes healthier. But yeah, well, he is now with his treatment with the bucket with cup 2.
You need to mix cup 1 and cup 2 when it comes to the hands and feet. You need to go like 30% cup 1, 30% cup 2, and then fill it up with the amount of water you need.
Oh, okay.
To come, because when it comes to the toes and that kind of position, when you have it, is both the what you call nerve and the muscle tissue. So you have to do both. When you do cup 2, it just looks after the muscle tissue, but what you're going to do with the nerves, which are causes of it.
Oh, okay. So I shall do the same because, within all the different organs coming better, but I got the I lost sensitivity in my foot and the right foot, but the pain has gone in the little finger. But shall I do that or just still with the bath? Shall I do the same as my husband for my feet?
We advise to use up the use of the gases for change of condition and not for treatment, because we don't go to treat, we just change the environment.
Oh,
so you have to understand what environment you need to change to accommodate the change for yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some of us, as I say, invite the soul because it allows us to express some of our emotion. We have to understand that part as well.
Okay. Okay, and the heart, sometimes the pain is coming and going, depends if I touch something with, that has the field, the corona field, but I haven't using the patches, the 20% patches, the 1 cup, and that has been helping me and being lighthearted, more fun.
Enjoy life, but look after yourself. You're past the critical point. Now it's part of living with life as it is.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Yes, I passed the critical point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shall we call it a day? It's very late for us.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're trying to keep these sessions to 4 hours, and the Keshe Foundation members there and the head of Keshe Foundation say 4 hours, but we're still seeing it extended to 6 and 8 hours and the rest. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
for
Keshe.
forgiveness. Thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, Alex, you have some final